And I'll call the member for Kingsford Smith.
My question is to the Attorney-General and Leader of the House. What bills are before the House that implement the recommendations of the Banking Royal Commission?
Member for McEwen interjected. Actually, not a bad point. I didn't hear the start of the question. The microphone wasn't on, I don't think. Could you just begin the question again? Is that okay?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Leader of the House. What bills are before the House that implement the recommendations of the Banking Royal Commission?
The Leader of the House.
Unusual for the Leader of the House to take a point of order on a question to him as Leader of the House, but that clearly is a question that needs to be directed to a minister, and the minister responsible for those bills.
Members on my left. The Manager of Opposition Business on a point of order.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Speaker. The role of Leader of the House is meant to be a real job. And as part of that members of Parliament are able to ask about the legislation.
Manager of Opposition Business can pause. The member for Latrobe can cease interjecting. Let me make very clear with these points of order we need to go directly to the point of order. I'm not at all interested in the commentary, okay, and I'm giving fair warning. So just go straight to the point of order.
It has always been in order to ask the Leader of the House about the business of the House, regardless of what portfolio that business falls into otherwise.
Member for McMahon. So you're testing not just my patience, I can tell you. I'll make 2 points because, whilst it's unorthodox, certainly the Manager of Opposition Business well knows that I've seen many examples where that has occurred. But also, I mean, the practice also makes very clear, if I can point out to ministers, that they are entitled to, if it relates to another portfolio, they're entitled to refer that to a relevant minister if they wish to. That's a right they have. So I'll leave it in the hands of the Leader of the House, whether he wishes to answer it or refer it to a relevant minister.
Happy to leave it in the hands of the Treasurer.
The Treasurer has the call.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can confirm to the House that actually this parliament has passed legislation implementing the Royal Commission's recommendations, including Recommendation 3.6 to prohibit super funds from inducing employers, including passing legislation for Recommendation 3.7, which is introducing civil penalties for trustees and directors of super funds. We've also passed regulations which extend AFCA's remit in terms of dealing with financial complaints back to the 1st of January 2008. We've also legislated product intervention powers.
The Treasurer has the call. The Manager of Opposition Business has the call on a point of order.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Speaker. The question simply asks what bills are before the House. It doesn't ask for the history of previous parliaments. That was why the question was originally directed where it was, but the only question is what bills are before the House.
Yeah, and I think that's a reasonable point, but I don't at all think what the Treasurer has set up to this point is unreasonable in terms of giving some context, and he's on the policy topic, but he does need to bring himself to that aspect of the question or wind his answer up.
76 recommendations. We're taking action on all 76, including currently we have exposure draft legislation to end grandfathered commissions for financial advisers, and after that consultation it will make its way to the parliament, and we would expect that those opposite would support our legislation. But the point remains that after the Royal Commission was handed to us, we took 4 days to respond. Those opposite took 22 days. We've already legislated significant number of recommendations from the Hayne Royal Commission. Others are in the pipeline, Mr. Speaker. Others are in the pipeline, and we're taking great care to do this properly, to get this right, so that the Australian consumers get a better deal.